Now, typically when a company announces new partnerships like Bank of America and other major institutions, or when an ecosystem has significant developments taking place, you see the underlying asset or you see that stock go up. But in the case of Ripple and XRP, nothing is normal about this reserve currency of the new financial system, XRP, and the special little company out of San Francisco called Ripple that is set out to put a dent in the universe and make XRP a world reserve digital currency. We see fantastic news coming out here today. We're going to cover it in today's episode. About 500 partnerships confirmed, including Bank of America and others. But we also see that Link2 is now offering Ripple equity, the shares, at under $40 per share. Now, this is very interesting. This is just breaking within the last 24 hours because last night we were actually taking a look at Link2's offering for Ripple. As I titled last night's live show, 10x for both Ripple and XRP. And I talked about the potential for both of these investments to potentially 10x after the IPO for Ripple and after XRP finishes off this coming bull run. So if you guys missed that, you guys can go check that out last night. I ran up a live session for about an hour, but I'm going to make this session really quick, brief, and to the point as we cover significant developments and announcements within the XRP ecosystem and 500 partnerships confirmed for Ripple. Yet we see the stock price on the private market going down. Some people might call it a sale. I know Black Friday is over, but if you want to take advantage of that, I am going to put the link for Link2 down below. And when you sign up through my link, you will get an additional $500 towards your investment. So take a look at that if you are interested. And let's get right on into today's update. Now, the market was back up here earlier today, kind of cooled off from where we were at. Last night, we traded back above 38,000, back up to 384 to basically start off the day here. And then we see that we've cooled back down to $37,712 for Bitcoin right now. Ethereum at 2026, so still above 2,000 for Ethereum. And XRP back down to about 60 cents right now, with XLM at 11.8, just under 12 cents. Now, we saw the DXY did a slight recovery today, a little bit of a bounce, okay? But then we did see that didn't stop the treasuries from moving back down. 4.645 for your 2-year, and on your 10-year, you're down to 4.259. Now, we're going to get right on into it, guys. But first, silver back above $25 per ounce and gold back above $2,000 per ounce. We've been talking about it. You guys already know the deal. I've been stacking it. If you guys need a resource for precious metals or rolling over your 401k retirement account, you can do that as well. And actually, speaking of 401k retirement accounts, I just found out an audience member had actually asked me this. Actually, I think it was in a Discord community call, whether or not you could roll over a 401k retirement account with Link2, and you can. So whether you're looking to roll over a 401k, do an allocation towards precious metals or towards, Link2 investment opportunity, take advantage of it. The links are down below or at my website, zachrector.com. But without further ado, guys, the market is moving back up. What is taking place? We get the GDP data point coming out here today. Peter Schiff helps us understand. The U.S. economy is already in recession, as I've been saying. Though Q3 GDP grew by 5.2%, government spending contributed to 5.5%. So without that spending, GDP would have contracted by 0.3. Government spending borrowed money doesn't reflect real economic growth. It will only lead to higher inflation. And it really is eye-opening when you start to look at the details of these data points, where they come from, how are they actually derived. And when you look a little bit deeper, you start to see, wow, we're actually not growing at all if it weren't for government spending. Government spending, and understand, government spending is government borrowing, right? And this is the problem that we find ourselves in. But does the market care? Absolutely not. And so we reported GDP was up to 4.9%, and now it's up to 5.2%. So they're running with this data that, that we're having incredible growth, inflation's coming back down, and it's time to party once again. And this is what the markets are doing. Fed rate cut hopes are fueling an everything rally on Wall Street. This one shared here by Market Watch. Gold, treasury bonds, long shot call options, Bitcoin, and even GameStop printed a big green candle. Most market strategists would agree those are some strange bedfellows, but the torrid November rally in stocks is starting to morph into something more frothy, analysts say. And both speculative and defensive assets are getting taken along for the ride. Some have described it as the latest leg of an everything rally fueled by a broad macro bet on Federal Reserve interest rate cuts beginning early next year. The everything rally with a FOMO twist. To be sure, this dynamic isn't exactly new, having briefly emerged during the summer of 2022 and during other brief bouts of optimism stoked by hopes for a Fed pivot. But after a year that has been seen by many active managers lag the S&P 500, this latest round of year-end profit chasing is seeing a more speculative twist. Don't underestimate performance chasing, said Mohanad Amma, the chief investment officer and senior portfolio manager at Beam Capital Management, in a phone interview with Market Watch. Now, as I've been saying here, and as the talking heads are running with, and as the Market Watch is covering in that article, you have an everything rally that is back on because people are front running the Fed pivot. The Fed has already done a form of soft pivot. They've veered off from the path that they were on of raising rates at the fastest pace in history. That brings pain to Main Street, but it's progress for the suits. It's progress for Powell. They get to say that they brought inflation back down. But the problem is that this is going to be temporary. Inflation is going to be coming back. And if this brings on a risk-on environment, then sure, yes, we could see these stocks go back up. We could see that crypto, has definitely been partaking in this rally as well, along with gold and silver. So we've positioned ourselves for this. We're just remaining liquid. You have to remain liquid right now because you have to understand, our United States government is not going to come out and declare themselves bankrupt and default. They're not going to do that. But what they're going to do is they're going to continue to print. They're going to continue to inflate and inject liquidity into this system. And they're waiting around. I'm going to tell you a little secret, and many of you guys know this. I joke. They're waiting for the next black swan, the unforeseen event that's coming, that they can use as an excuse to drop interest rates again and to turn back on the money printer. And they have to, because they're at a pace now of increasing our deficit, increasing our debt, I should say. Our deficit is at $1 trillion every 3 months now. So we're on pace to add trillions of dollars to our debt every single year. That doesn't include the unfunded liabilities too. So the only way for them to solve this problem is to be able to print more dollars so that they can pay off these liabilities like the retirement, the Social Security, Medicare, and what have you. Now, on top of this, they have no limit between now and January of 2025. There's no debt ceiling limit. And so it's just a matter of making sure that they can keep on filling up their coffers with cash and find somebody to sell off these treasury bonds to so that they can keep on funding the government. That's where they're at right now. And the market is seeing this, and the market is doing what it does best. It's rallying off this news that the Fed is going to go weak, that the Fed is going to go dovish, right? And I say, okay, that's fine. Send us. I'm ready to go on the rocket ship. I got my XRP. I got my silver. I'm very happy to see silver back at $25. That's fine. But this is just the early innings of the next rally that could be taking place, and there will be bumps along the way. So that's what we need to be careful of. The United States government's not going to come out and default, but there are going to be real estate. You're seeing commercial getting killed. You're seeing companies that were the darlings of the IPO phase here over the last few years go bankrupt, like WeWork, right? So you are seeing defaults. You are seeing bankruptcies. Bankruptcies are actually climbing back up. And this is how I bring it back home to Main Street for our average listener who's trying to understand, why is the market partying? Why is everybody rallying? Why is everybody, having a good time? Meanwhile, on Main Street, everybody out here is feeling the pain. And that's because that's the current reality that they've set up through the money printing, through the zero interest rate policies. But then by raising the rates at the levels that they did, they rug pulled Main Street. They rug pulled our economy. And we were in the middle of a correction. We were beginning the correction. And if the Fed is going to allow it to crash, then we would see that fulfilled. But there's a good chance that the Fed is going to come back out and paper this thing over next year. So that's why I say be careful, and I'm staying liquid with cash on the sidelines. Now, what's so interesting is, as I started off the video by saying, Ripple announcing partnerships, XRP gets developments, and the price goes down. That's exactly what happened for Ripple equity today. While we're seeing the rest of the stock markets are pumping right now, Ripple equity on Link2 actually came back down. So we're at $37 per share when you buy over $10,000 of Ripple equity on their platform here. Now, if you buy under $10,000, you are at $39 per share. But like I said, if you buy up to, over $10,000 worth, that price is dropping down to $37 per share. And last night's live show, we were literally just looking at the same exact page, and the price was up at $50 per share. And so I don't know if Link 2 came into some cheaper Ripple equity. I don't know what the deal is. If times are just getting tough here on the VC funding and the private equity deals, which it is getting tight. There still is plenty of money out there, but it has contracted. And so that's why it's being reflected in a price drop here today. So if you want to take advantage of that, I'm going to link up Link 2 down below, and you guys can take advantage of that. You get $500 towards your investment when you do so. But like I said, I'm about to show you guys the 500 plus partnerships that Ripple's working with. There's no reason. And this is incredibly discounted. I broke it down further in last night's video, so I'm not going to go too deep on it. But a $6.8 billion implied valuation. That's what the implied valuation is at a $37 share price. $6.8 billion is a joke, because when you look at just the XRP that they hold, it's worth more than that $6.8 billion. I mean, just the cash that they have on hand is a percentage point of that, right? Is a fraction of that, right? And so the valuation there at 6.8, in my opinion, is really undervalued. And I think that we talked about it last night. I think that Ripple equity is on sale because they're discounting the XRP escrow. They're discounting the future business models that are coming through the AMM, right? Ripple's ability to plug in their XRP into these AMMs and provide that liquidity is going to be a new business model where they're not going to be just having to sell XRP to create revenue. They're going to be able to lend out their XRP. They've already started that. But with the AMMs, they'll be able to inject their XRP into these liquidity pools and incur a yield from that as well, just like we will be able to as well. Now, this gets really exciting. Another company that's available on Link 2, by the way, is Uphold. And what's exciting to cover here is Uphold's most recent partnership with Ripple, but along with this little plugin, Topper. So it's called Topper, and it's now integrated with Google Pay. So Android users, you'll now find GPay available as a payment option whenever you buy crypto from our site or with any of our Topper partners. So we covered it just last week. Apple Pay, you can now use Apple Pay through Topper. Now you can use Google Pay. And I am aware that you've been able to use Apple Pay for buying XRP from other outlets, but this is just another new venue, another new on-ramp for XRP that's going to help drive more utility, more adoption, and more liquidity. Now, speaking of liquidity being removed, well, how's this program working out for Binance? They have decided to delist and end support for its BUSD stablecoin in December 2023. Now, folks always wanted my take on these different exchange tokens, and I've always said the same thing. The main utility, and really the only utility that I see for a lot of these exchange tokens, is them just being able to cover their butts on their exchange. You know, they're providing a little staking reward when you are on their platform, and this is what's got a lot of people excited. Is you can, hold your BNB and earn a reward. You can hold did Kraken have one? I think there's a few others too. You guys know what I'm talking about, though. This is what drove, basically, the only utility was liquidity on the exchange. That was the only utility for these exchange tokens. And BUSD was one of the main stablecoins that was actually used to pump up the market this year. So it's going to be interesting to watch what the main threat that crypto has right now is the stablecoin legislation and Tether, and making sure that we're able to, basically have a smooth transition to a regulated environment where the stablecoins are, in compliance, are backed by real reserves, and then our crypto space can continue to grow. Talking about a frothy market, our whole market has been held up by, Tether being printed, by USDC getting printed, by Binance USD getting printed at the Paxos Treasury. We've been covering it on chain since the beginning of this year, and it's made me cautious because that's not real growth. That's fake growth. There's fake volume, and you've already seen the volume fall off for Binance significantly. Now they're shutting down their support for Binance USD, and it is still yet to be seen what happens with Binance and the exchange. But at the end of the day, I think that this is part of the growing pains that we have to go through. Some of these stablecoins will get cleared out. Some of these exchanges will be cleared out. But on the other side, massive wave of liquidity is coming this way. Now, massive partnerships being confirmed once again we get the October 2023 update of Ripple partners, and it includes 500 plus partners and growing. And so I haven't had a chance to read through this little webinar that they did. There's actually a link. This is for public viewing, I believe. I think you have to register, but I think that anybody can basically watch this. So I'm going to be pulling this up, and I'm going to be watching this a little bit later, but I just wanted to share this update. We have 500 plus partners and growing, and you guys already heard it was 300 back in like 2020. Then it went up to like 400. And now here we are in 2023, the end of this year, we conclude, and we're over 500 partners and growing. And on that list is, of course, Bank of America, the second largest U.S. bank, total assets of $3.1 trillion and total equity of $273 billion as of last year. And rest in peace to Charlie Munger. And Charlie, coming from Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, which is one of the largest owners of Bank of America equity at 12.8% position there for Berkshire Hathaway. So this is why some folks have made the speculation that Warren Buffett and Berkshire, that they've been happy to get their exposure and have a little partnership here between Bank of America and Ripple, because they actually doubled down on their position in Bank of America just within the last couple years. But this is, once again, incredible to see the partnerships, the adoption, and to think that a lot of these partnerships haven't even started using XRP yet. And just because they haven't started using it yet doesn't mean they're not going to. It means that we're waiting for regulations. It means that we're waiting for a custodian, i.e. a Medico, to show up and help finish off the deal. But Bank of America, we've been talking about them because they're a great example of the problem that these banks have. These banks have a problem with their balance sheet of $131 billion of unrealized losses on their bonds for Bank of America alone. When you look at the banks across America, it's over $600 billion of unrealized losses on their bonds. When you go look at their commercial real estate, you're talking about $1.5 trillion worth of commercial debt that has to be restructured by next year. Good luck. God bless. Let me know how it goes. It's going to be a challenge. And it's all part of the negative balance sheets and the exposure to toxic derivatives that many of these banks have. This is why I've been saying they need to add XRP to their balance sheet. They want to add XRP to their balance sheet. It's not just that, as Bank of America said, they want to use XRP for a competitive advantage for cross-border payments, but they also need to add these assets to their balance sheet so that they can help recover the losses that they have. For Bank of America, it's massive. It's $131 billion of unrealized losses. And the way that the accounting's done, as he reports here, their total equity of $273 billion, right? The way that the equity's done, if they had to mark to market, right, you'd be subtracting about $131 billion of equity if they had to mark to market their bonds that they hold. And so this is the whole thing that I've been saying this whole time here with these Bank of America partnerships and others. They're not just here to use on-demand liquidity. They need to add XRP to their balance sheet. Their balance sheets are upside down. And if they're not upside down completely, well, there's some holes. There's some gaps, pun intended, in their generally accepted accounting practices. There's some gaps in the accounting that, if they had to bring a mark to market, it would be a different story. So that's the need for why they need Ripple, why they need XRP. And as far as where XRP's at, guys, it's right where it's been at. It's ready to break out. Where do we go? Crypto Bull shows us XRP wave count. We are working on wave 3, which should top around $27 for your wave 3. So we're taking a look at this chart. 1 month XRP, and we were just looking at the 1 month XRP chart last night as well too. And it's just very clear that upon breakout, this thing's going to double digits and beyond. Crypto Bull says $27. Sounds good to me. And as I was talking about in last night's episode, I see the potential for both a 10x opportunity for both Ripple, the company, and for XRP, the digital asset. So people ask me, which one is it? Should I be investing in Ripple equity or should I be investing in XRP? And I say, well, I'm not here to give you financial advice, but for me, it's both. Right now, currently, I don't own any Ripple equity, but this is the sale that I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for this market to correct and come back down, and that's exactly what we get with Link2 here today, back down to $37 per share on Link2 at a $6.8 billion valuation, which is an absolute joke. And another point to reiterate that is that Ripple themselves, they just bought back their own stock in 2022 at a $15 billion valuation. So that price that's available on Link 2 here today is less than half that. So while it's available, it's something to consider. One of the one of the other options for our investment portfolio. As always, I'm not here to give you financial advice, but if you do want to get in touch with me, get into our group, it's all over at my website, zachrector.com, and the links and community resources are all available over there as well. So I will see you guys in the next one. May God bless you all. Thank you so much.